time to throw down.
I got it.
All right. Boy.
I'm not going to leave
Go ahead and switch to the camera.
Yeah.
That's the boy I know. I grew up on top of him.
Well,
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Title screen.
pull the strings. Pull the strings.
Yeah. Fucking never forget.
Nakatomi
Nakatomi
Plaza, Christmas
Plaza.
Eve, 1988.
Get all over here.
Why, hello! And we're only starting
see
19
touch
minutes
of
late. Thank you for joining us for season 22, episode 14 of Happy Jack's
now,
Arbitry
Ross.
Podcast. My name is Stu.
I'm Kurt.
That's really loud. You don't have to be that loud.
I'm Kadave.
Perfect. Very good, Dave.
I'm Chris.
It works still.
I'm Benji.
And I'm Kimmy.
And this is the live studio audience. Hello, audience. How was the con so far? Excellent, excellent. First, because his time is precious, Eric, you want to come up?
Yes.
His time is the precious. He needs it. Oh, it's precious. Time becomes precious when you become a dad. It does.
Not even a little.
Block them. Block them.
Yeah, fuck them.
We're at How to Make
hi,
a Family
Eric.
Show.
Hi, audience.
And tell us who you are and tell us what's going on here at the con.
Well, I am Eric M. Aldrich I. I am the con manager of this convention. Okay, all seriousness, yeah, I'm the idiot who puts this thing on. I just want to say thank you very much for coming out to Gateway 2018. Yeah. And again, some great news. This is the largest gateway we have run so far. Easy. It will be big. The big question is, will this beat OrcCon this year? It'll be close. So it may end up being the largest convention we've run so far. It'll be close. Let's not count our chickens quite yet. So anyway, I just want to say thank you very much. Hope you all are having a good time. Hope you found parking in less than half an hour. So anyway, last night was good. Tonight, not so much. Anyway, here you go. Thank you, Stu.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for coming. Where'd he go? I saw him and now he's not here.
What?
Sandoval.
Right there.
Oh,
If he was a snake, he would have been in your boot.
you want to come up? This is Jim Sandoval. He runs the RPG section at the convention. Jim Sandoval, everybody.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? I don't know about you, but I've been having a freaking great time this weekend. All right. So, like Eric said, man, this has been a crazy con. I actually ran out of room, and I had to reach out to other departments to see about other room because I didn't have enough physical space for everybody. This has been the busiest Friday we've ever had in RPGs since I started here like 5 years ago. So yeah, it's been amazing. And Sunday's going to be busy too. We have so many wonderful events and so much stuff going on. A lot of tournament play with payouts and great stuff. So I'm really hoping that you guys are having a good time. I'm also going to be running a game tomorrow at 8. And that's the first time in like 5 years that I've run a game at this con since I've taken this position. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you over there and playing with us in my little Savage Worlds game. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they might have about the con?
We love you.
Nice shirt. Yeah, it's a great shirt. I love the shirt. All right, man. Well, I'm hoping that you guys are having a fantastic time. I'm hoping that you're loving the variety of games. I'm hoping that you guys might check out Games on Demand with Tomes over there because it's a great little sub-department, and I'm working real hard to try to get it to be its own department on its own so we can keep it growing. Keep on coming. Keep on having fun, and I love you all. Thanks.
excellent. Thank you, Jim. Jim Sandoval, everybody.
Thanks, Jim.
I have some.
From me to you. Thanks.
I have some stuff to give away. I'm not sure what to do with the dice tray.
Prizes.
I'm gonna do the bridesmaid thing. Ready?
Always the stew, never the. No. My eye. Snagged.
Throw those. Go right ahead. It's all in the
Do the thing.
It's your first time at the convention. Right. Excellent. Well, welcome. All right. Anyone run any games on Friday they would like to talk about? Any games on Friday that anyone? Yeah. Oh,
Do the thing.
Mr. Christopher.
This motherfucker right here.
That's right. Yeah, I ran 2 games. I don't know what I did this time. I decided to run all the games. I did get to play 1 game, but on Friday I ran 2 games. There was at the 2:00 hour I ran 16 candles.
Aww.
16 candles. So I think we've talked a lot about 10 candles on this cast.
We do, yes.
For those of you.
We are fans.
Yeah, it was actual play. I think that if you don't know about it, definitely check it out. It's by far my favorite game, and I play a lot of them. And it's every time I play it, it changes me in some sort of profound way, and I become lifelong friends with the people that I survived the game with.
You don't survive. That's the point.
Right. No, as a person, not as a character.
Oh, okay.
I'm
That's
on Facebook, texting. You all right, man? Because that was rough. And yeah, I know. I'm okay though. Thanks for being there, man. But I decided, because the key mechanic of 10 candles is that you have all of the candles lit, and when you fail, the candle goes out, and this happens until it goes dark and you die. I was like, this is like John Hughes' movie. Oh wait, it's but the opposite, right? Because it starts off terrible, and by the end, you get everything you want. So I was thinking, why not, 16 candles? We just do the 16 candles of the game. So I reversed the mechanics. I posted on Facebook. I tagged Stephen Dewey, the guy who made the game. Yeah. He said, Chris, no.
So, of course, you did it anyway.
I was like, no, it's going to be fine. No, it'll work.
Fine.
And he responded, seriously, no. I think he went to, did he go to you, Dave? He's like, Dave, you've got to stop this somehow. But no, it's already listed. Man,
Too late.
My buddy Sandoval already posted it. It's got to happen, So we did it, and man, it was I don't know. I didn't have to work. It was the best game I ever ran because I didn't have to do anything. I had an all-star cast. I just sat and watched, and it was. I wish we would have recorded it. It was so good. It was so funny. So that was the one game, and then maybe we should talk to the players.
Players.
Yeah. I'm trying to walk. I think there's one player here.
Yeah, I
There's
played
2
that
players, 3, 4.
Get up here. Come on, move it.
We have a lot of players in
All right,
here.
well, I'll fill some time while they fucking line up or whatever. You played in the game? Yeah, I played in the game.
Yeah, you have to stand in front of
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Stu.
The queue goes this direction, but you stand right here.
It's very well organized.
Come on, Joey.
I don't know how it got that
There's
organized.
a line.
Fucking new guy over here. I said, come on, directions. Stage presence.
Hi.
So tell us what was your impressions of the game?
Oh, well, I will hold. Stop moving the mic and I'll hold it.
Hey, hold this.
You suck. No, the game was phenomenal. I was really excited to join the game because I've only ever run 10 candles. I never actually got to play. And then when I got there, I'm like, oh, so it's not 10 candles. That's fine. John Hughes, that's cool. What was really funny was, so the way 10 candles works, you get your vice and your virtue from other people. And I'm like, I'm so excited because I play a garbage person on Carefree High. I want someone else to give me things. I'm not going to make the character. It'll be great. I got ambitious and overly friendly. So I'm like, that's fine. This isn't on brand. But it actually made it really cool because me and Kurt kind of made a similar character. It's like, we'll just be friends, like the douchey, bro friends.
Oh, yeah.
And both had redemption stories that were completely different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mine was more of a go to jail and get shipped off to Harvard story, but...
It's redemption-esque.
Well, I mean, when you've got the money, jail's not really a problem. It's more of a setback.
Because 80s.
Accurate.
Right. It was 80s. Although I think,
Especially in the 80s.
but what I really liked was we kind of also both kind of almost a she's all that approach to the unpopular girls in the
Yeah,
group.
yeah.
But again, yeah, Gina and Katie, and well, none of us really had a romantic experience with you, Tomes. I'm sorry. Next time, I promise.
I can't wait for my romantic
Yes,
experience with
yes,
Tomer.
right. Yeah, Tomes was our lovely drug dealer, and that was lovely and fun. And straight A student.
Wait.
Oh, well done. I like you.
Tech-
But no,
technically, he
the
was a
game.
pharmaceutical dealer,
True.
and
Yeah.
I was a drug
Pharmaceutical.
dealer.
Right.
There
Well,
is
now
a
you're just
difference.
splitting
Everyone
hairs.
was 100% on coke, though.
Oh, all the time.
Thanks
Yes.
to me.
Well, yeah.
I think we all did coke at some point during the game
Everyone did some
because 80s.
because yeah.
But no,
My favorite part was my character and yours wearing the exact same white suit with the sleeves rolled up on the first day of school.
right. And we had the moment of, dude, I told you, we both can't be Crockett on the same day.
I fucking get Mondays.
No,
We
you get
talked
every
about
other
this.
Monday. We
No,
talked
no, no,
about
no.
this.
I get Mondays. You get the next day.
Whatever. The entire
No,
game.
I think the end of that argument was, okay, I'll let you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need it.
You need it more than I do anyway.
And that was fine, because I got the girl in the end. All right, speaking of the girl, Katie, go.
First, you have to tell us who you are and what you do that makes you famous.
I'm Katie, and I am a pyrotechnician.
right.
So when you hear Stu talk about the person at the table in the game that was a pyro, that like knew the real things about the fireworks, that's me. But yes, Joey and I went to prom. It was great. We were prom king and queen, which was amazing. And I helped him in his redemption story because he was a douchebag. And I taught him about the arts, which, you know, that's awesome. But I played the slam poetry student who was super into drama. And so I got everyone to come to my poetry reading where we were the Roosters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Roosevelt High Roosters.
The Roosevelt Roosters.
Roosevelt
Roosters.
Roosters. So of course my slam poem had to start with me saying cock over and over again.
Right.
Yeah. So it was, of course, Chris forgot my poem in the room, which I
Sorry.
left for him. So cock. It was a 6-cock poem.
You will come out no more.
Just rolls off the tongue.
It just rolls off the tongue.
And the
6-cock
school
poem.
called her Cock Girl.
Cock girl.
But
Oh,
what
right.
did she do?
I embraced it. I was like, this is my stage name. I embraced the cock. Yeah.
Grab
it was
hold
my
and don't let
stage-
go.
It's the best way. Yeah. So I embraced it. It was my stage name. Everybody was shouting like, "Go cock girl!" when they were voting for me for prom queen. It was amazing. Yeah, it was
Roosevelt
great.
embraced the cock.
Yes, Roosevelt
definitely
definitely
embraced
embraced
the
the cock. Yeah. Definitely. But I think Dave may have had the most interesting character in the game.
Wow.
What was that, Dave? Thank you.
So I decided
wife,
that I was
everybody.
going to end up with. I'll explain it in a minute. I'm getting there. So I decided that I was going to make a character that was the super 80s futurist sort of kid that was the, like, in your head, imagine for parents, if it was Otho and Delia Dietz and they didn't have the semi-normal dad in the picture at all, and this was the product. And, like, everything I wore was pointy and angular. And I had neon pink wingtips that I wore. No, like literally first day of school was a top that looked like a triangle that just was open on the sides like a poncho. But so then I decided that I was just the very anti everything school related because it was inane. So it started with what was like the assembly. Pep rally,
Pep
assembly,
rally.
yeah. And I I don't know where it came from inside me, but it just was she got up to start talking about poetry or drama or something, and I just was in the back going, "You suck!" And that just became the thing for the rest of the game. And then I was prohibited from going to prom because of these outbursts.
Oh.
So I framed the vice principal with Coke in his desk drawer. So he went to jail.
You should be nice to assistant principals. They're good people. They have a hard job.
How hard was it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got our comeuppance. Because when
Good.
you got the principal sent off to jail,
Oh, that's right.
the new principal shows up in her pencil skirt and is like, everything is canceled.
Right.
You are all terrible.
Exactly.
Nothing will return until you
Well,
get a
for
3.0
Kimmy's
grade.
benefit, there was
whatever.
some logic behind this. The
That-
entire school had a less than 2.7.
That is the power of a
No
pencil skirt, people.
extracurricular activities. None. Until this GPA comes back up. That
no
means
secret
nothing.
probation. We were just fucked.
There's no secrets.
Yeah.
We pulled out of that nosedive for sure.
All right. Anything else about that game? Yes. Come over here.
100%. All right,
Wait, who are you?
it's on. I am Tomes, and I am an indie RPG shill.
True.
So, yes.
Accurate.
So, two things. First of all, they're forgetting to say something about another brilliant mechanic that you added to that game. So, in the regular 10 Candles game, whenever something happens bad, you start talking about the next scene, right? So, you establish truths. In this case, that mechanic turned into montage. And so, in between, like every time
Yes.
something happened that forwarded the game, candles got lit, and it was montage time. And montage meant that Chris hit a button, and we got a new 80s song on the
So
speakers.
good.
It was insanely good. It was insanely good. So that's not exactly. That's number one. Number two, Chris is saying like, oh, I didn't have to do anything. I just sat back. I mean, that's kind of bullshit. We know that's bullshit. Like, Chris was amazing as any of the NPCs. And honestly, everybody just brought their game. But the best part was, if you weren't in the scene, you were just sitting back and chewing on popcorn. Like, the one thing you need to know about this game is you have to bring popcorn because it will just be so enjoyable in between scenes. But yeah, it was fan-fucking-tastic. It was so good.
All right.
Just FYI, I made everybody for my song listen to the German translation of "Take on Me." Oh, it was time
It was
after
Time After
time.
Time.
You're right. I'm sorry. It was time after time.
Time after time. Excellent.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay,
It's
I'm
funny both
generating
ways.
random numbers between 1 and 24 because that's how many people are in the audience right now. Someone say stop. Stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, you want to make a pick?
shit.
Okay, all right.
I get to pick. I know customization is important.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Choose.
There's a fine array of 3 dice trays with lids and staging areas. And you're going to take the Celtic Knot Ouroboros one? Awesome. And what's your name?
Aurora.
Aurora. Thank you. Congratulations. And thank you for
You
coming.
chose wisely.
And you have a great Star Trek sweater. I love it.
Fat Loots.
Excellent. All right. Any other Friday games? Any more Friday games? Friday games?
I had another one.
Okay.
I know, what the hell.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay, so the next game I did was The Godfather. The very one. I did this on this. This is the system. I talked about this before.
Thank you for inviting me to this game on the first day of your convention.
You spend time with your family. I've been working on a framework for storytelling games that focuses on character motivation, called The Great American Novel. And I talked about this before, I think, on the show. And this was let's apply this framework to The Godfather because, what do we have? Motivations. We have characters. We have character arcs. So it was it was a very very interesting game. I brought in some I brought in the archetypes which were associated with the characters that we know, but the game wasn't really about the characters. This is just another situation. 1946. The war is over, but a new war is beginning in New York with the mob, right? And so we chose a family as a group, and we chose everybody's characters and archetypes. And I really felt like I watched The Godfather that night. I mean, there were hits, at the right time, and there was a lot of tension and conflict. But I think the shining factor was when the old Don came out, the new Don came in, and the seat was empty, and the new Don sat in the seat with his new crew. And it was so beautiful, and it was a really, really good but extremely late game. And I'm 41. I can't do this anymore. So, yeah.
41's not that old.
And I'd like, because there's some people here that play, I wanted, Jim, you gave me the boardroom for The Godfather, and you gave me the boardroom for 16 Candles, and I was in Stu's game the next morning in the boardroom. I was in the boardroom all weekend, and I was like, this is the way cons should be. This is it. Our own space. You want boardroom? You get boardroom. So yeah, we have some players here. The Potzes were here.
I definitely played in that game. I played the cunning rascal, who was Sonny. It was a little bit of an issue because I have not seen Godfather in a very long time, and I don't remember what happens to Sonny.
Don't tell him.
Everyone else knew, and when I picked Sonny, they were like, "Wait, you don't know? Fuck, what's gonna happen to me?" It turned out okay. Somehow, you know what? I am the most surprised that I lived. I was expecting to die at every turn, because I was just contradicting everyone's orders. Like everything on the sheet was basically telling me, like, be the moral center of this crime family. And so every time they needed to kill someone or wanted there's a hit, we need to make a decision. And I was like, no, we can't kill somebody. All he did, it wasn't that bad. Just break his knees and send him to Palm Springs. He'll be fine. Like, that's fair. But I pretty much interrupted everyone's plans. Like someone's trying to hit on somebody's wife, and I walk over and I'm like, hey, man, you can't play another man's piano. You got to back the fuck off.
I'm sorry.
I mean, they were at a piano.
Okay.
They just didn't know better.
I was in character,
Okay.
Kimmy. I am more enlightened out of character.
Got it. Okay.
I
Just
did write, you
checking.
can't play on another man's piano down on an index card because that's a quote.
Hashtag feminist wine. Okay.
The story was, I mean, there was a really intense story going on, because what happened was that Don, who's aging and kind of sick and over it, was letting his older son kind of take over the business, but the older son wasn't ready.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a hit put on by another family on a friend of his that saved him in the war. So there was a lot of that conflict that your character was negotiating.
Right. And it was, I don't know, I kept putting myself in the line of fire, basically, and somehow lived.
So, except the oldest son, I'm Katie again. Except the oldest son wasn't the oldest son. He was the second son, because the oldest son was a bastard, which was a playable character, was one of the PCs, who was playing the piano with me.
Tickling the
'Cause
ivories.
I was married to the legitimate son. And so the bastard son was the one that was trying to, like, weasel his way in there to the family.
And you can't play another man's piano.
Kimmy's bristling, don't.
You can't
I
play
mean-
another man's piano. You can't play another man's harmonica. All right?
How about you just ask the piano what it wants?
Yes.
It's a piano,
Ask the
Kimmy.
piano if it wants to fucking be tickled. Tappy just said you can
Now
play it four-handed,
everybody
and
wants
that's
to sleep
accurate.
with Victor Borga.
So I think the thing that I had difficulty with, which I'm sure Kimmy can appreciate, is that it is the 40s, and I'm the woman in this mob family, and I'm trying to like be true to time and character, but also fuck that. So, thank you. Right? I gotta put that down. Yeah, gotta put my drink down for a high five. Yeah. But yeah, so that was like the difficult balance. So I just worked around the problem by going to Mama and warning her that her son, the man I didn't want to be married to anymore, was talking to another mob family and was working against our family, and I was worried about my husband. So she would go and talk to her husband, and then he wouldn't be a problem anymore.
Excellent.
So you know,
Mama was married to the Don.
Yeah. So I couldn't directly affect the family because you know I'm a woman and it's the 40s, but I've got my ways. Yeah.
Excellent.
I almost X-carded myself about how her husband was treating her, and it was extremely uncomfortable. I apologize.
All right, Kurt, yes. Okay, so this is
Talk,
Kurt.
Kurt.
This is real Kurt, not other Kurt.
Who's at the fucking table, asshole?
Yeah, who refused to come up to the table? He's the real Kurt. All right, fair enough. All right. So I had actually only recently watched The Godfather 1 and 2 for the first time in the last 6 months. So it was actually kind of fresh in my mind. And so I picked the Luca Brasi character, which actually worked out for a couple of reasons. One, I really wasn't ready to play the political game that night. So I just got to be the guy, yes, boss, do with it. But you know, I also had to reconcile the fact that there were lots of bosses. And they were all giving me orders, and they usually conflicted with one another. Oh, yeah. Like when Kurt and Katie and the bastard all gave me different orders, and my one like creative element that I brought into this was the bastard was playing the piano, and so it's like, okay, so what are we playing? And I decided that whatever he's playing, I'm gonna like just quietly be there and singing along, and so, you know, the mafioso's got a voice. And what is he singing? Nat King Cole in the 19. It's like, wait, what? You're singing Gershwin as done by Nat King Cole at a mafia wedding?
Well, it was Easter.
It was Easter. That's right. Sorry, not a wedding. It was Easter. Yeah, that's right.
Playing The Godfather. We were playing The Godfather.
So yeah, no, it was as much as you might be surprised that you survived. Because I remember what happened to Sonny, but I also remember what happened to Luca, and the fact that I knew through the entire game that I was expendable. Because I wasn't a member of the family, I just worked for you. I was really amazed that I survived. All right. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
You have to talk in the mic, though. We can't hear.
That's why I'm getting the
Start
mic.
with the intro.
Oh,
Who are
hi.
you? What's up?
Camera. Hi. What?
Who are you?
Oh my God, you guys are really making me nervous now. Hi, I'm Adam, longtime listener, first time caller.
False.
False.
False. He calls a lot.
He just doesn't get through the screener.
For good reason. Christopher, I'm just wondering if you will run this again, but actually do it married to the mob instead of The Godfather, please. Thanks.
The beauty about the great American novel framework, trademark Christopher Gray, is that it can be done in any story that requires human drama. So Married to the Mob. Yes, excellent. I am going to run it at GauntletCon, which is the Gauntlet's online con. Everybody should participate in and look up. It's great. And I'm going to do Fargo.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and that was a vote by the community. I'm doing Fargo. It was between that and Reservoir Dogs. It was a really tight race.
I voted for Reservoir Dogs.
No
All right.
way. I'm Mr. Pink. Hey.
All right. No more Friday games. No more Friday games going once.
Wait.
Come on.
I was gonna get angry.
Tomes, again, you know who I am at this point, hopefully. So Friday I ran. So one thing, I ran a game, and it's like an indie story game. The pace was not super high. It's supposed to be kind of mellow and weird a little bit and whatever. I would have ran it at Friday at 2, but this fucker right here, meaning Chris, ran his game at 2, and I wanted to be in 16 Candles.
That's any nominated Christopher Gray.
Any nominated Christopher Gray.
The fucker any nominated Christopher.
Yes. So first of all, 16 Candles is an 8 p.m. game. It's full of energy. I knew my game was not going to be full of energy. That's my excuse. This is me making my excuses. Look. It was a cool game though. So I ran Merkur Gur, the Deathrolled Kingdom. Yes, I know, you're looking at me funny. There's these two guys in Southeast Asia. They're writing a Southeast Asian-inspired fantasy setting. And so I've created kind of like a little game to run in that. And, you know, it was probably the third time I've play-tested it. Yes, keep going. I was really happy with how it ended. I think there was definitely like the eye dropping stuff around 10 to 11. I was feeling a little bit tired during that time.
It was not your game, dude.
No.
I take full responsibility.
I don't think it was totally my game, but like I was also tired between that time. Like it's not a game to play at night. However, I'm going to be proud of myself for doing a thing, and I'm going to talk about that thing just real quick. So, and it's totally like an indie game, meta game, hippie shit thing.
Wait. You played an indie game?
Oh, I wrote an indie game. So, yeah.
Wake you up. No?
Around 11:30, I felt like the story, like, okay, we were kind of tying to the end. I wasn't sure exactly where it was going or what to do. I didn't want it to end on a flat note, so we stopped for a second. We did the time check, and I said, hey, guys, let's stop for a second. Let's talk like adults. What do you want to see out of the game? What do you want to see out of the game? And did that around the table and got a little bit of a consensus of what they wanted to see their characters do. And I felt like we ended on a pretty decent, like, finale. And I just want to say, like, if you're open to that kind of metagame bullshit, it's dope. It did the trick. So anyways, that was me, and that was my game. I mean, there's some players here, so they can do their thing if they want to. But
I'd like to say, Tomes, I've been in games with you, and I've sat in games that you've run, and you're magical. You're a unicorn. And one of the things that you do so well is your empathetic link to your players. You understand what they're thinking and feeling, and that can't be learned, man.
All right.
Time and again, I keep threatening that I'm going to go and buy Tomes a pith helmet. Yes. And I keep forgetting, so hold me to it this time, everybody. Because he's the guy, like, we're all sitting in the plush, leather-lined London Explorers Society building. And we have a great time, and we do stuff, and it's fun. And then he comes back, and he's like, I've been to the far reaches. And I have come back with this. And it's just shit that you're like, who, what, what is this? I can't understand what's happening here, but it's awesome. And then we're all like, I wish I could go on that expedition, but I'm old and I've been drinking.
Went up. And who are you? And what do you do that makes you famous?
I'm Andrew, and I'm famous for traveling a really long way to be here.
Wait. Now you have to tell us how far you came.
I come from Chicago, so
Nice.
4.5 hours by plane. That was delayed by 3 hours because we didn't have breaks. It's
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna say.
it's
That's
been a weekend.
Yeah.
Merkurger was phenomenal. It's a really cool setting about traveling down a river through a kingdom of talking magical crocodiles who also fall in love. It was great. It was very, very light and loose when it comes to mechanics. The character creation was super fast and fluid, and it turned out that we all fall back into our own stereotypes of Dave communing with nature and loving monkeys and
Well,
accurate.
That was the the brilliant thing about it was like he laid out
Talk
these
into
cards.
the mic.
I thought I was close
No.
enough. All right. So he laid out cards on the table with some choices for our characters as we were making characters, and it was just, and they weren't explained. There was no like, here's some rules about if you pick this, you get these powers or whatever. No, it was.
This is hippie gaming
This
days.
is something you get. Here you go.
Have a paragraph.
Yeah, no, it's not even that.
It was-
here's a
it was
title. That's you.
a
Come with
word.
it. But so like I ended up picking the macaque of Tui, and I was like, and then one of the options that you could pick for your talent was summoner. So I'm like, yeah, I summon like astral monkeys that swing through the trees and go gather stuff for me and all of that. Well, they were macaques. I was a macaque. But the part that was brilliant was, yeah, howler monkeys. Next time it's going to be howler monkeys, and the whole game I'm just going to sit there going, whoop, 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 whoop. You suck. And yes, yeah. But no, like the brilliant part was that two people picked the same thing.
Yep. The Bear of Candice.
Yes. Get up here.
It's the Bear of Candice. Of course we picked it.
But the fact that they like by fiat negotiated out this whole mystical bear religion without communicating with each other, it just became a thing in front of me, and I was like, one sitting on one side, the other sitting on the other, and I'm like, ooh, it's like Wimbledon. I love this.
And that was the really cool thing about this game, because the book itself, Murkurgur, is like, I don't know, 22 pages maybe, and it's not a system. It's just a setting. So we threw a tiny OSR rules on it, and we fleshed everything out ourselves. So the only information we got about Candice was that we were bears of Candice. That's it. Everything else was just, no, that sounds right. You're warriors. Yeah, cool. Like, we wear masks. He's like, yeah, you wear masks. We turn into bears at night. Yeah, whatever. Cool, go for it. And all the character arcs we went through were really interesting and intense and cool start to finish. And it's all shit that we just made up. And none of it was like, oh, well, this is Forgotten Realms. So your elf is actually acting in a way that society would. No, we just like, oh, cool. I'm floating down the river. There's a talking crocodile. Let's have tea with it, because we have tea with crocodiles. But don't trust that one. That one's going to eat you because it's raining.
Because it's raining.
The one interesting other experience I had in this game was it was the first time I played a mute character, and I did it accidentally. We started, and my character was just kind of quiet, and then my other bear,
Bears of Candice.
that was the voice he used the entire game. It was that volume when he was sneaking. It was that intense, even at night. And so I was like, well, he's the loud one. I'm going to be the quiet one. And when I talk, it's going to be great. And that just never happened. We got like 2.5 hours in. I'm like, I guess I'm just mute now. A witch took my voice. Tomes, find me a witch. And he did. And that's the beautiful, when we were talking about the ending, one of the things I said, well, this witch took my voice. There better be a witch in the finale, Tomes. Make it happen. And he did. We all talked about what we wanted to see out of the game, and we all got approximately what we wanted. And then we had this really cool epilogue, and it's just like it was a game that we knew nothing about. Literally, it was MRKRGR Tomes. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll play that.
It's got tomes on it. How could you go wrong?
It's a weird indie game from Tomes. Yeah, I'll sign up for it. But through the entire process, it was really interesting seeing how everyone role played and reacted to this weird, bizarre setting. And it was one of the coolest experiences I've had at the convention. Also, my other bear is here, and I will let him talk now.
I'm Robert, and I've been coming here for a while following Tom's down in Games on Demand. I guess I have to stand on the X. I know, this is new.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Get on the face mics. Face mics.
Who is it? All right, so yeah, this game was kind of crazy. I didn't know what to expect from it, but I have faith in Tome after, like I said, we've been running down in games on demand for the last few years. So I figured it would be something awesome. The fact that there were no vowels in the name of the game was probably an indicator that something different was going to happen. And like I've got to again give props to the table. I think, the other three guys really kind of just jumped up and made that game. I've never played in a game where somebody did so many funny things and never said anything during the game. And the sad thing was they left me to interpret all of his little pantomimes. And I think the other two players got it. And I would just be like, he said we should go fight now. And he's like shaking his head. And I'm like, now. And it just went on the entire game like that.
It was almost like that when there was that fake sign language interpreter on in South Africa during the World Cup. Yeah. Was it? Yeah. So they were just up there doing weird motions and shining it on, and all these important people are like, "Oh, very good." And that's what all of us were. We're like, "Oh, whatever he says, okay, that's bear language."
Yeah, and we found out that bears also are the master of puns. So constantly, no matter what was happening, if you could throw a pun out, no matter what the bad effect of it was, we would have to throw it out, and all the bears would collapse. And then that would be it for about 3 or 4 minutes. So just over and over again. It was fantastic. But yeah, I just want to give props to Tomes. Everybody has already said, and it's one of my favorite places to go here at the con now is to head out down to Games on Demand. And there's always something different there that's absolutely something you're not going to inspect when you sit down. So,
thank you, sir. I'm going to give away one more.
Do the thing.
I'm going to. I think I'm including them because there's people sitting up here who aren't normally on the cast, and
I want some swag, man.
I feel bad. So.
Yeah, where's my treats?
I've never gotten nothing free from Easy Roller Dice.
Yeah, I got that. I'm a hipster. I got that at the Kickstarter.
Oh yeah. So did I. Yeah. That's right. So did I.
He's out.
No, I don't. You're right.
Kurt, say stop. 8. The Ocho 5, 6, 7, 8.
There you go. More things to carry home on the airplane.
Purple.
Pick the Raven one. That's the best one. Ravens
right.
are awesome.
Saturday morning, 9 a.m. games. Who ran stuff?
What?
You go.
Oh, you want
You
to go
go
first?
and then I'll go. And you ran a game.
Yeah, I ran a game.
Okay.
And you ran a game, and you ran a game. We all ran.
Hello. Kurt here again. I ran Wild Talents. I ran, it was called Defending Champion City. We're not your ordinary superheroes. We're the other guys. It was shamelessly ripped off of Mystery Men. And that was the whole point.
Operation Three-Eyed, Three-Legged Eagle.
Yes, exactly. So this was basically set 15 years after the events of the movie. So they were organized by yet another audition for superheroes. But this was held by Invisible Boy because he was the only one who hadn't retired. Okay. But it was still in the shoveler's backyard because he was the only one who had one.
Right.
And just like the previous audition, most of the people who came were an absolute joke, and not good jokes at that. But a pair of brothers, two brothers. No, I don't think they were twins, but Bruiser and the Doorman. Bruiser, who basically got stronger the more you beat on him. And the Doorman, who his innate ability was to, as soon as he walks into any structure, immediately knows all of the entries and exit ways. Okay. And that's it. That was his power. That's it, right? So they were the two who were like, okay, yeah, you look like you could, and you're a package deal. All right, so the Bruiser is a good guy, but when Doorman, all right, we'll bring you in as a, and this game was absolutely proof positive that it may not actually matter how much or how little or how good or how shitty the GM's prep is. If the players are good, it's going to be a good game. Amen. And I had two awesome players who are both here. Okay. All right. So yeah, but both of my players are here. I just had the two players, and we had basically a buddy cop kind of game, and they're both here. So I'll let them.
Excellent. Andrew.
I'm back.
Wild Talents is
this
awesome, by the
game
way.
was the first time I played Wild Talents, and I've only been trying to play it for like 7 years. So thank you for running it, Kurt. I played the doorman, who, again, that's all I did. I was a security guard, so I had some skills related to being a security guard. No weapons, no powers other than.
Playing it, and that's not all you did. You were essential.
You have to talk into the mic.
Okay, we'll get there. But the system was really super cool. I know we've talked Wild Talents, I think like maybe once on the podcast.
I've never heard of it.
What's Wild Talents?
Wild
Wild
Talents. Yes.
Don't know anything about it.
And despite having read the rules, like actually playing it was even cooler because like you don't always grok everything when you just read text. Kurt definitely grabbed his stuff and like, okay, we're gonna take a break. I need to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. An hour and 10 minutes into the session, but he came back and he really pulled it out. Like he did a really good job with the no, Kurt, fuck you. The game was fun. You had a story. You gave us clues. There was a bad guy. We went from start. We had a middle. We had an end. It was everything I wanted out of a game. We had two cool characters that had really cool motivations. We had a cool background shared between them. And all in all, it was a great game.
Andrew, you don't know me very well. A lot of these people do know me much better. I'm not being falsely humble. I'm never humble.
Accurate.
I couldn't tell that from the cast. That has never shown. No, but it was a very good game, and thank you for running it. And my brother, the Bruiser, is here.
Hello. Who are you, and what do you do that makes you famous?
Hi, I'm PK. I'm an archaeologist and a paleontologist.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was playing the Bruiser, and I had played Wild Talents once before and really enjoyed it, and it's published by Arc Dream, and I think it was written by Greg Stolze or Stoltz, or I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. Anyway.
That's the guy that got fired on Back to the Future.
Dave, you're drunk. Shut up.
So my character could essentially punch things, and that was about it. Like, I could punch things. And then the doorman, played by Andrew, was, like, essential to the game because he had all the investigative and, like, social skills, and so...
Knew where the bathrooms were.
I knew where the bathrooms were, knew how to...
I didn't. I knew where the exits were. If you need to piss in the woods, I got you.
Yeah. Andrew was attempting to interpret his character to have more cosmic-like abilities, and the GM wasn't having any of it. Was very not like down on that. He wanted mystery men, low power, gritty supers. Ridiculous, useless. Yeah. I was the what's that comedian? I was the Mr. Furious of the group, except I actually had effective powers.
No.
Instead of
Nerd shade.
This
little guy just saved your life.
Mr. Furious is just pretending to be like he gets angry once. He just pretends to be angry most of the movie, and that's the joke.
We
Right.
can't hear you. You're not doing it on the mic.
Anyway. So really fun game. I felt like we really needed more players because like the pre-gens were not all like my character was very combat oriented but not very investigative. If I kind of feel like if you run that again, you should modify the characters so that each one has some investigative abilities if they're going to be going up in mystery. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you very much.
I'll go next.
Go.
All right, so I ran a game this morning. My name is Kimmy, and none of you have ever heard of me. I ran a game this morning that none of you have ever heard of called Demigods. It was very exciting. One of the great things about Demigods when I run it at conventions, I always do the character creation at the table because it's so integral to the connections between all the characters. And if you've ever seen any of my one-shots or anything like that, the process it usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour, but it really creates the story because generally I don't do much prep ahead of time. I'm sure you're all surprised. But the story... I do make props sometimes. But, the story that we play comes completely out of the character generation that happens at the table. The same thing happened today. It was a little nerve-wracking because at conventions you never know. And I've been really lucky for most of the cons. Most of the time I get at least majority Happy Jacks people signing up for my game. Today that was not the case, so I have these people coming in who I don't know. They're strangers. And I'm like, oh, good. People I don't know. That's great. I'm so good at that because I'm a nerd. These people come in and, you try and read, like, how is this going to be? Are they going to play? This is a game, it's PBTA, so it's very narrative-driven. How they role play is really integral to whether the game will be successful or not. So you're trying to, read this. How much as a GM am I going to have to pad things? How much am I going to have to talk? Because I honestly, as a GM, the more I talk, I feel like the less successful the game is. Like, if my players are just talking and I'm sitting there watching, then it's a full success. And so I was a little nervous, but it really ended up working incredibly well. We somehow ended up in the 80s. Good job. Thank you, Joey. Which is like the greatest gift a GM can have because suddenly nobody can fucking text. They can't have instant communication. They can't Google shits. It's amazing. Thanks, Joey. And
quick to ARPANET.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Steve, I couldn't hear you. What did you say about being old?
I lived through it. It wasn't.
Oh, I Googled it. I'll never tell. Anyway. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. We came up with some really diverse characters. They picked the Reaper playbook, the Muse playbook, and the Trickster playbook, which is a personal favorite of mine. That was really fun. It was great. Also, usually I have a little bit bigger games, but I screwed up on my character or on my game registration because it was 11:45 the night before signups, which never ever happens to me ever. I do that every single con, and every time Jim gets pissed at me. But so I accidentally typed the wrong number, so I only had 4 slots in there. And then it turned out to be a really good game. Joey, come up here and talk about it because I'm done.
Isn't 4 better?
I prefer a table of 4 generally when I run games, but at a convention because I like having more people play a game, and especially when people are trying to play Demigods and it's sort of a limited release right now because it's still in beta. I like having 6, but it's much more manageable with 4.
Joey.
Hey, so you gave me the mic so I can actually talk into it.
Woohoo!
Totally my fault it was set in the 80s, kind of. So when we built our characters, we determined that I was playing the Muse, and everybody can be shocked that I'm playing a social character.
What? No way.
I know.
A performer?
What? No. Me? You suck.
Shade. Oh.
Hey,
you suck.
Anyway, I was playing an alternative rocker who was the son of Apollo. We had the Trickster who was basically like a big businessman, and we had our Reaper who was a gutter punk. And so I'm looking at these characters and they're talking about things like, okay, this is very 80s. Like I'm getting a very 80s feel, so we're kind of deciding where we're going to play. I'm like, why don't we play in the 80s? Worst decision ever, because good luck getting in contact with anybody ever.
And that's why we liked it.
I miss social media. But no, it was really great. We ended up doing a battle of the bands as the big finale. I ended up recruiting our gutter punk as my roadie, and our friend who was like in the business was very much a patron of my band, who was a gender fluid band. We were all the men were dressed as women, all the women were dressed as men. my character's stage name was Helena Troy, and our band name was Titus Androgynous. Thank you. Thank you. I got to have a lot of fun punning the shit through the Greek pantheon.
It was amazing.
Our rival band was Odyssey Yes. And my band's big song was Achilles Heal My Soul.
This is what I'm talking about when, as a GM, I just don't talk. I just like, good job.
Right.
So was there like an
Yes,
adventure or
and.
something, or were you just?
Well, yeah. So basically, there was this whole thing with my patron, my dad Apollo, and the other band was being patronized by Pan, and we had this huge battle of the band trying to screw each other over. Basically, because I stole Odysseus's drummer, because he was a much better drummer than mine was, and mine kept dying and kept getting reaped by my Reaper. Yes. No. All of my drummers played for Spinal Tap. There were 4 drummers, and they all just kept dying.
That right there. That right there is
So
the
I finally
definition
found
of leaving
like
it
the
all
world's
on
best
stage.
mortal drummer, and I seduced him over to my band and convinced him that I was in love with him, so he'd stay in my band. It was awful. I'm garbage. I am repetitive. And that's fine. But no, we did the Battle of the Bands. That was a lot of fun.
The other band ended up being lip syncers.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. Total Milli Vanilli. So our Reaper, who was doing audio. Oh,
That's even worse than.
I Googled it. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Know your moment, man. That's the definition right there. Oh, damn.
I can't follow that. I will just say the only reason I would ever get up for a 9 a.m. game on a Saturday is to play with Kimmy. Because she's awesome, and she's running Demigods, which she's awesome at. And yeah, it was totally worth it. So if you ever get the chance, hit that up no matter what time the game is. Yes, Kurt?
Oh, God.
How can I help you?
Kimmy's game was the table next door to mine. And at one point,
Sorry?
so at one point, I hear Joey say, no, there are no backup singers in my band. I am Diana Ross, and they're the Supremes. And I'm like, Joey, did you just compare yourself to Diana Ross?
Did I stutter?
Verbatim what happened at my table. Anyway, it was super fun. Thank you, Joey. We had some other awesome players. I think they got drunk and left a little while ago, but it was super fun. And if you haven't checked out Demigods yet, you obviously don't listen to our podcast enough. Check out demigodspbta.com. It is amazing. And Jason, who unfortunately isn't here this weekend, but is on a bunch of our stuff. No, if you're lucky. He's also currently running our brand new Apocalypse World AP that's running every other Wednesday night. And yeah, check it out. It's awesome.
So I would like to point out that while the 80s didn't have instantaneous communication and connection to all human knowledge.
Yes, we did. We had beepers.
Nope. You could still drive from the San Gabriel Valley to the west side in like 20 minutes.
That's true, yes.
And it cost you like 30 cents.
Yeah. And your car got 4 miles to the gallon.
Right.
I remember that.
I'm not talking about the 1880s.
Saturday morning games. Any other Saturday morning games?
I ran a Saturday morning game.
You went, do mine, I was going to do mine last.
You gonna do yours last? Go ahead. I actually wrote a game. I wrote several games because I can't be still. I kept trying to write the game Forest Mother, Motherhood in a Dangerous Wood, which was an expanded version of my 200-word RPG submission, which was terrible. And I kept having to stop to finish Guns and Sharks because my brain would not let it go.
That's more important.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run Guns and Sharks tomorrow. I
Yes.
I want to play Guns and Sharks. I don't know what it is.
When?
I wrote a game called Guns and Sharks.
Dibs?
Yes, you can. Fuck, I gotta get a newsletter. Yeah, Pixel Scandal. Twitch.tv/Pixel Scandal. What? For more information about Guns and Sharks. No, so I ran a game called Forest Mother, which I wrote. It's a little story game about forest spirits who raise guardians to go and protect the forest from the dangers that threaten it. It's very cute. You start out by creating the forest together. Each person creates a location in the forest. There's like some tables in it, but mostly it's just making shit up. Like there was someone decided there was gonna be a sinkhole that was just the caverns underneath the forest, and we had like waterfalls and shit. That's not really interesting. I mean, it's interesting at the table as a setting, but it is not interesting to talk about. But the next step is to create a forest mother, which is your spirit, like forest spirit, right? Like think Totoro or whatever, right? So mine was like a stag that walked on its hind legs and greeted people to the forest with its creepy antlers and hands.
No, you need to be on all fours. That's creepy.
Right? I said the same thing. Like, no, a stag comes up and waves at you like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. Yeah.
I think my favorite of those was this is one of the guys. It's way dirtier than he meant it, I'm sure. But his mother was called Wet Mother because she was a water elemental.
It lived in the waterfall.
And her guardian, because the next thing you do is you create a guardian, was called Hardman because he was a stone golem.
Of course.
Because and this was the brilliant part. The water elemental decided that the art form that she loved best was sculpture because she would use water jets to cut stone into things, and then she made essentially the statue of David as her guardian spirit that would wander around the forest and fight for her. And
it's not moist woman and wood man.
Well,
I just want to know whose piano that was playing.
It was like watching Westworld. It was like Black Hole Sun, and you're like, what is? I don't know what's happening, but I love it. Okay. Yeah. No.
So after that, everybody, like, the things are out. You've got your characters and the things you're gonna do, and then everybody creates a danger that's gonna threaten the forest, but you keep it kind of secret. And then you put them face down on the forest locations. So when you send your guardians out to these locations, you're kind of surprised, right? So you do a little scene about your forest mother explaining their beliefs to the little guardian. They send them off to go protect the forest, and then boom, trolls, like whatever was coming on, you know. And so it was actually really fun. The start of the game, the first few rounds went really solid, I thought, and then there's some tuning I need to do on the resolution phases, but I'm really pleased with it. It was a game. So yeah, Dave played. So what did you think?
I had a great time. It was really fun. I loved the fact that you said like after you set up dangers for all the different areas of the forest, then you set up like the arch danger. So it's the one thing that's threatening the whole forest. And he's like, it could be things like some kind of big predator or whatever. And then around the table, it wasn't me. I would like to point out it was not just me. Decided it's not a big predator, it's the predator. And he's come to Earth. This is years before he meets Arnold Schwarzenegger in the jungle. And they start by fighting the small animals to see what the challenge rating is of all these things. So he's wandering around the woods like strangling a weasel and beating to death a rabbit. Like, that's what happens.
Get to the
You know what?
chopper.
I'd pay good money to see you fight the predator, buddy. So yeah. And then somehow he became Macho Man Randy Savage, the Predator.
Yeah, who was just suplexing all the animals.
Yeah,
in the
so
forest.
he was just going.
Oh yeah!
He's like, Oh, brother, it's time. I've come down here to fight some animals.
One of my favorite combos. One of my favorite combos. There was one of the forest locations was a trail which was littered with old rusted machinery, and the danger that happened to be there was a cult that was coming to and when you reveal the danger, you have to decide what's at stake. And so they decided that the machinery was at stake, and so we were like, oh, these are just repair people that came to the forest, and all the forest spirits are like, ah, cult, they're rising the machines.
It was like, we decided it was Caltrans.
Yeah.
All right.
But that was actually at Games on Demand. I went down, so I had been trying to do Games on Demand for years of coming to this convention. I finally was like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Games on Demand. So Tomer and I both pitched a game, and to my surprise, people were actually interested in it and wanted to play it. And I got some really generous players, and it was a great time.
Excellent.
I'm just going to take this opportunity to point out that Stu is out of beer.
What?
So if someone would like to bring beer from the bar, that's an option.
Thank you.
Now I've bought you and Stu a beer.
Son.
Ooh, it's a double up. Oh, look. Make him drink that. It's awesome.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see
So-
here.
Everything's fine.
No, what was I about to say? I forgot. I'm drinking.
Yes. Fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bandit.
Are we still on set?
No, we're still on Saturday mornings. You had something else?
Oh, I was going to say something. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Thank you. I'm back. Here I am. Who are you people? What are you doing in my bedroom? Oh, okay. No means no, Leonard Nimoy.
Stop playing his piano.
But
Just ask the fucking piano.
They're inanimate objects. You can't ask them.
So I actually had.
It's not really a piano.
Oh, it's a metaphor. Oh.
Metaphor.
So I had actually.
All right, keep talking.
So I had actually planned to go down and try and be there to run a game for Games on Demand if needed. And then I realized this morning when I was packing up my sack to go down to... You all heard me. I was packing up everything to go down there. I realized that I didn't bring the pre-gen characters for a game. And I'm like, yeah, I suck. I know. So, but I haven't achieved that level of enlightenment that Tappy has to just be able to go for a game with no characters. It was amazing. But so I got down there and I was really glad that we didn't have enough people for a third table. I was like, good, I'm just gonna hide in the crowd of players. No one will see me.
Excellent. Saturday morning, any more games? I'll do mine then.
Talk about it.
You got one?
Wait, we have.
Okay.
Oh, are we doing
While he
Saturday
runs up here, I'd
afternoon?
like to add that every year it gets harder and harder to pack up my sack.
You gotta learn the origami method.
Until
you're
Pull it
41.
sides.
I'm not touching that sack. So, yes, Saturday morning and afternoon we had Games on Demand, so 9 and 2. You heard about this stuff. The other table was The Quiet Year, which is an old favorite. But one cool thing about it was, again, you're always kind of surprised by these games. So I've run it and played it a shit ton of times. And I wasn't necessarily super excited to play it, but except for the players were new to it. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I sat down, kind of showed them the game. And, we did this little thing to find out what this world's going to look like. So, no, it's not going to be Earth. No, we're not going to do it in space. Yes, we're going to have magic. And then somebody put, our friend Even, put magic social media, right? So we ended up having this world where we had basically like a fantasy thing going on and all sorts of like the normal, drama and trauma and all that stuff, except there was hashtags everywhere and emojis. And it was so fantastic. I seriously, I've got a big smile on my face.
Fairy
It was
fire
just a great game.
hashtag.
2 o'clock, we pitched a couple of games. I think someone will talk about one or two of them. But I'll just say that me and this guy Nico kind of got together as GMs and we're like, we're just going to run little mini games if anybody wants to play them. And we ended up running, so this is my second time this weekend running For the Queen, which is a little indie game by Alex Roberts. That's the same chica that wrote Star-Crossed, which is two-player Love Dread. If anybody hasn't seen that, look up Star-Crossed. It is amazing. 2 players, a Jenga tower, Forbidden Love. You don't need to know anymore. But this is a new game that she's got, which is not quite out there yet, and it's just about the queen, and she knows that we love her, and we're here on her perilous journey to protect her. And you just go around the table answering questions, and it is unreal how beautiful this game. It just like you create this character that no one's playing, and she's got nuance, and it's just interesting. So I got to play or run that twice this weekend, and then Nico, who's not here, another RPG game on demand guy, and he runs games on the scheduled stuff as well. Ran something that from his mind called Stage 2, and it was insanely good. We just basically like quickly lived our lives. And then other stuff. I'm not going to give anything away. But all I'm going to say is just like, I'm always surprised by kind of the caliber of GMs and games that come out. I mean, here and other places, but, it's just fantastic. So everybody just keep doing what you're doing. And if you want to come and play games on demand, I will be there, and I will welcome you with open arms. That's all.
All right. So on Saturday morning, I ran Moment of Truth, Bloodblade, and Tusk. It was in the premise of this game is there is 4 orcs who are sent to a small human village in Burgundy to try to hammer out a trade deal. And they get there, and it's basically sort of like the Seven Samurai. Oh, this evil lord has come, and he's attacked us, and there's people dead, and the priest had locked the children in the church, and the bandits came by and lit the church on fire and tried to kill them, and the orcs were able to save them, and they went on, and hilarity ensued. And one of the things, a couple things I want to mention about things that I've learned from that game. One is I always try to make characters, when I'm making pre-generated characters, that will have some sort of conflict between them. In this,
No.
Yeah, I know.
What?
In this game, I didn't set out to do that, but I did it anyway.
It's like a bad tick.
Because right.
Can't help
It's like a bad penny.
Yeah, it is.
I had 2 characters who were warriors. One was an old veteran, and the other one was one of the younger children of a warlord who had yet to see battle. So he's trying to prove himself. And still hasn't. And then on the other side of this rift were an orc from the Sage class, and he basically was more sort of like he was kind of a face character. Would you say was kind of a face character? And then the other orc was a shaman who was the mother shaman, who's basically a healer and a pacifist.
Well, the mother creates, not destroys.
Exactly, right. So, and then I ended up rewriting the game about an hour before I ran it because I looked at it and I'm like, there needs to be a twist. So I came up. Yeah. Well, I had written it.
It can be done.
I wrote it. I had a.
He said rewrote.
I rewrote it. Yeah. I had a game, and I'm like, I don't really like the way it needs to flow better. So over breakfast, I sat down and made some notes and came up with the little twist at the end of it. So, but if there's any of the players that want to say anything about it, now is your chance.
I was in it. And you got to come out too. Yeah, I played the shaman, and I loved that these were orcs with complexity. So I decided to really own that, and I played a female, sort of a young but very well trained shaman that was, and this was required by the character, that she was pious and that she would not kill. She was vegetarian. I mean, it was very specific. So I was in this cabal with a couple of warriors, and a lot of my conflict was about mitigating that, and saying, we really need to move past this. We're in danger of losing our society, and we have got to get past that and become better people. And fortunately, I had a sage with me that helped with the argument. But one of the things that really struck me was the character was really fun, and that's one thing. But the other thing was I played the magic. So, I've been listening to the cast, and I know that this is a work in progress, and the magic system was the best part of the experience. It was really, really fun. I saw a list of spells, and so my 5e turned on. I was like, okay, I cast fog, whatever. But then I was like, wait, there's some complexity here because you gave me the whole file. So I started looking at not only what the magic was, but where it came from in the lore. That it's not just casting spells. That there's a formula in place, and that there's forces that you're dealing with. There's several forces, and these forces are actually skills. So each force of magic is a separate skill that can be combined. And oh, by the way, I can improvise. And so I spent the entire time improvising. Nice. The problem, though, there's a problem when you do that, is entropy. So what ends up happening is the more that I used magic, the more chance I would have that the magic would lose control. And it went quickly, too. So I spent most of the time bleeding from my nose. But I love the freedom of being able to say, I'm going to get this falcon to come to me, and I'm going to see from the falcon's view so that we can see what's going on in the world out here, and have a scout. I love the freedom of being able to. This church is on fire. I'm going to blow in air and water and smoke, and that turns into steam. Air, water, and mist that turns into steam. And it was just the freedom as a player to just triangulate the formula of magic. I loved that. And it's something I want to play again. And so congratulations on the magic system. I know you've been struggling. It's great.
So I played the sage in that group. So it was basically reason versus
what?
Well,
this guy.
And so
I just want to kill something.
the entire game, that was it. Him and the young orc, or him and the old orc, actually, were just trying to kill everything they could. And myself and the shaman were trying to convince them that orcs are really about hugging trees, and that
advancing civilization for the best of our kind.
Indeed, advancing while we hug trees.
I do like to hug trees.
There was no tree hugging mentioned. I did not sign up for that.
But they did consent, Kimmy, so it was okay.
Consent is sexy.
So again, the magic really stood out on this, and we had talked about even after how well this would fit into like a Cthulhuist kind of game. You could really use it for insanity. And my hats off, like Stu always finds a way to let me think I'm in the moral high ground, right up until the point where I am not. So at the very end of the game, we're finally turning loose our warrior brothers to go deal with the bad guys. And the big bad is on the peak of this bridge. And we go charging up, and we tackle down the nun who's protecting.
In our defense, she looked like a fucking assassin, okay? She was our first target. She
Hold
was
on.
wearing black.
I said there was a figure in black standing in the middle of the bridge. That's
Right,
all I said.
a figure in black.
No, I grew up Catholic. Nuns can be evil.
So we did tackle her before she flew away.
And what was the nun doing?
This is just to add the insult of us tackling the nun. She was collecting grain for the half-orc children that no one would take. So.
Oh, man.
I did not tackle the nun. Not for lack of trying.
No.
Because I rolled badly and missed.
Yeah. And this setting, again, like I'm so excited. I saw on the back of the rule book, Stu was very kind and printed up the rules for this. And on the back of the rule book, he's got it laid out where he's going to have his vast dominions setting coming out for this. And then the Cthulhu, I'm kind of chomping at the bit to see that one come out.
I really think that the entropy mechanic and the insanity mechanic are very similar.
Yeah, no, but this was a great game. Thanks again for running, Stu.
Thank you very much. All right, want to do the afternoon game.
Okay, so Saturday afternoon, I did a crazy thing. I played a game at a con. I know, right?
don't even
it's
know
so
who
weird.
you
I never
are
play
anymore.
games at cons. I only run them. So I played. You've probably heard it if you've listened to the podcast for very long. Stork is the biggest fan of the Laughing Moon games, And Todd, who has created the whole system and the whole world, is here. And I'm going to embarrass him and make him come up here and talk about it. You can do the thing. Come on. So I just want to emphasize. I want to talk about, and I just want to tell you how brave Todd was, because he didn't know any of us, and he had Tappy and I walk into his game. And Todd is amazing, and he's like, okay, so I run a narrative game. And Tappy and I both kind of nod, and we're like, we can do that. So welcome. It's great to have you. You haven't been on the podcast for many, many years.
Probably 5 years.
Yeah, so welcome.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks. I'm Todd. They've kind of given my introduction already. I wrote a book about, it's a fantasy setting called Laughing Moon Chronicles, spun off a role-playing game and then destroyed it.
Talk closer to the mic.
All right.
There you go. That's better.
Okay. This is a post-apocalyptic game that I've got, and in listening to all the other games being played, I realized mine is sorely lacking. We don't have Godfathers or prom queens, or there wasn't a single piano being played. I mean, physically, sexually, or metaphorically.
But I feel like you would have asked.
Clearly there is still work to be done. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. When I do these conventions, and I've come to Strategicon for several years, and what I try to do is like a 2 or 3 part adventure. So if you're in on the first part, the idea is I'm trying to hook you in to come back tomorrow and play the next game. With Kimmy and Tappy, however, I know I'm not going to have them, but from what I understand, you're giving your character to Stu, I think, tomorrow. So
Stu gets to play my 6-foot barbarian Amazon.
Sans underwear. So.
That's why you're Kurt the Second.
Fucking harsh, man.
It is a fantasy. We would just make shit up, so it's fine. It works. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was a good game. I had great players. I had 2 veteran players that were on board with me. Griffin is one of them. And then what I like to do is I come with an idea, an adventure, but with any good system, it's not the story, it's the gamers that you have. I'm more curious to hear your guys' take on this, because I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than what I have to say.
Tappy, come talk about stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. I had an amazing time. It was super fun. I'm sure you're all shocked. I played a super badass fighter woman. Very badass. I took all the damage ever, and gave it back. You go talk.
Hi, I'm Tappy, and
Who?
yeah, you may. I've been on this show once or twice.
Yeah.
But I wasn't here 5 years ago when Laughing Moon was on the podcast. That's because I was on my sojourn to the desert. And so now back, this is the first time I've played a D&D-like game in a very long time. Most of the games I play are hippie games, or games Tomes would play.
Yeah.
Potato, potato.
Who needs dice?
Hey, the character sheets are holding you back, man.
Yeah.
And so I had a great time. I had a fantastic time. It was a easy to pick up system. That was a lot of fun. And when we actually got to doing magic, there's this one thing of hey, just tell me what you want to do and we'll figure that out. Excellent. So I've been kind of on a punk kick recently for my characters. Yeah.
Here, come up here and talk into the mic because we can't hear you.
Okay, yeah.
Share.
Tappy comes to the table, and I've got half pre-gen characters, but I really wanted player input, and you never know where that's going to go. It could derail the whole game, or it could make the game. And Tappy decides he's going to play a dwarf, okay? But a rocker dwarf.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to steal your thunder, so by all means, you tell them.
So I decided, I've had a lot of punk rock just in my head recently. So it's you know what? There's guns in this game. I want to play a punk rock outlaw Josie Wales. So that's what I'm going to do, but as a dwarf. And But therefore, I need to dye my hair, so I'm gonna dye my hair with beetroot, so that I have this like cool like pink, red, purple hair, like mohawk, and the beard. And so that went off the rails almost immediately.
To my delight, you know. I'm creating this visual of all these heroes, and then Tappy. So he had a name for him, which is irrelevant because we just simply called him the Beat.
The Beat.
Oh, the rest of the adventure.
No, but
And of course, the beat goes on.
yeah.
Oh, and on.
And on, yeah.
Until you drop the beat. Yeah.
But then I was in Amazon, so I picked up the beat.
And then she picked it up. Yeah.
Damn it! Get out of my mind, Charles!
You can't go wrong.
With his consent.
And how?
Because consent is sexy.
But if you've met me, you know my consent is really easy to get. I'm not cheap, I'm easy.
Tappy figured out a little twist in the game very early on. My whole idea for this was to do like a Blair Witch type spin, but I was going to use an old folks home. Don't ask. It got interesting. But there was a moment early on where they were finding creepy little things, little dolls, little stickmen, and collections of teeth, which he set on fire. And for whatever reason, they learned these things exploded. This was early in the game, and it paid off hugely in the end. When Tappy decides to cast a handful of dice, which we rolled, the dice exploded, and then he sets them on fire on what remaining big bads we have.
Right. So these big bads were like straw men, and I had this bag of teeth that I'd gotten because teeth are punk rock. Right? So I threw the teeth at the straw man, embedding them in it, which then I let on fire with magic, which then they exploded.
Over and over and over and over to like 77 points of damage on one guy.
Right.
Where like 16 points of damage kills them. D4s, I think.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
The beat goes on and on.
Well, and I knew I was going to have fun with this game just even before we even got to it because Kimi and I play really well together. We just really, really well together. Our friendship is almost about to vote. And so, like, I
think our friendship already voted,
Oh,
Tappy.
oh, it did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
I hope
votes a lot.
Yeah.
It's like past the voting and it actually reads up on shit now and makes its voting in an informed way.
Yeah.
It might be able to drink. I'm not sure.
Our friendship has gone on many marches.
You know, it's true when friendship gets a discount on car insurance.
But this game, again, I mean, I haven't played a D&D style game for a long time, so it's really fun to be like, there's a puzzle happening, as opposed to all of us yapping at each other and being hilarious at each other, but like a really real puzzle that's going on. And that was really great to like really piece that sort of thing together and get to it, while Kimi is being an epic badass. And also Griffin, who is fantastic, is being hilarious.
That was great.
And
she brought a brand new character to the table this weekend. And during our like 6-hour drive out here, we sort of put our heads together on this, trying to get an idea what this character might be like. And we thought we had an idea until the dice started to roll and Griffin's mouth opened.
and poetry came out.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yes.
Poetry.
It was epic. It was great.
I have to do one of my favorite moments in this game, and I feel like the dice sometimes bring truth to a game that like you wouldn't otherwise have. So at one point in this game, Tappy kind of lost like track of what was happening. He and I were in a room with a woman who was specifically talking straight to us, like telling us everything. And Griffin and the other character were like listening outside the door, so they rolled perception to see what they could hear. Tappy wasn't paying attention, so he rolled perception. He rolled a nat 20 on a conversation he was having directly with this woman, where this woman was talking.
Look at
straight
those
to him.
active listening skills.
And I was just like, the truth and the honesty of RPGs came out, and it's just like the most profound moment I've ever had in gaming.
We
Bye,
ended the
Tomes. We
game
love you.
on kind of a big moment. They're splitting.
You suck.
I knew that was coming. With our current system, and it's different if you've played Laughing Moon in the past. I don't like hit points. I don't like the idea that you can die because the dice tell you you die. It's a narrative system. So if you die, you get to tell me you die. And with this system, you have resilience and you have misfortune, which means all the bad shit that happens to you in a game. Kimmy, she basically died at the end of this game thanks to the exploding teeth incident. That's what we'll call this.
Thanks, Tappy.
You're welcome.
So apparently, I guess Stu is going to inherit this character. We have a very small game scheduled, so you're fine.
So it's
You won't
just
miss a
Stu,
thing.
4 hours of Stu with his head down on the table.
He's got to be in character the whole time.
Drink up, Stu.
But it was a great time. I was so happy to have you guys on board, and good times. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah. I kind of want to. Do you want to say what you did at the very end of that?
Okay, all right. So this mechanic, there was a couple really cool. I haven't played this game, even though I've heard Stort talk about it a bunch of times. There were a couple of mechanics I really liked. I forget what they're called, the little chip things. But I'm sorry? Bandu points. And they basically determine your place in the initiative order. You can spend them, though, kind of like you do bennies or moments of truth and things like that in other systems. But then that shifts your place in the initiative order, which is one of my favorite mechanics there, because you're like, oh, I can spend this many and make myself hit, so my turn, or up my damage on an action and during combat, but that'll drop me in the initiative order.
And
which is
then
fucking cool.
then they get to act twice before you get to act
Yeah.
again, and oh fuck. Oh fuck,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't worth it to do that. Like it became a really real system very quickly, and it was super complex.
Yeah.
The system itself isn't complex, but the depth of it
Yeah.
is really interesting. I'm really excited to kind of crunch the numbers and look into that.
Tappy likes math. So
It's my thing.
Yeah, so there's the misfortune, which is kind of like the alternative to hit points. Once you hit your limit on those, you basically get to take narrative control of what's happening. So I think I surprised Todd a little. Okay. So I'm sitting there, my character is just ripped apart all these evil things as I do. And I'm just laying, basically bleeding out on the floor of this village. And there's this young boy who's been kind of our guide through part of it. And everyone knows as a teacher I love kids, and that, of course, is the thing that I fuck with the most in games, because that's what hurts my heart the most. So when I get past that threshold, I'm able to take narrative control. So instead of oh, I'm in pain and I'm dying, I'm like, okay, what can I do that will ruin things? What can I do that will be the most interesting narratively for everybody else? So I decide that this guide of ours, who's this 12-year-old frail, nice kid who I've bonded with because I've been protecting him, and that was how I sustained a lot of my wounds, is protecting him. I shoved him at one point in the fight into the inn and slammed the door so he'd be safe during the fight. While I'm laying there, losing consciousness, fading in and out, I see him come out the door, and then it's okay, so what do you do with this moment? I'm like, I didn't get all the bad guys. One of the bad guys. So I'm there. Everyone's looking at me, and as I'm fading in and out, I see him outlined against the door of this inn, and he's coming towards me, and nobody sees one of these monsters come and just grab him and disappear into the darkness, and he disappears. So now the party tomorrow, Stu, is now missing their guide and the one who's the most knowledgeable, because he's basically been trained since birth to lead this party. And he's the only NPC that Todd he's the only NPC that Todd gets to control.
Yeah.
He might not be dead. We don't know.
I mean, it's
Accurate.
well. Imagine a likable 12-year-old Giles.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like.
Who sort of worshipped my character a little bit, so I was
yeah.
like,
It was
oh.
like
You're
because my character is not. You don't worship my character. Like my character has done a lot of dumb things. I think over the millennia.
Accurate.
But that's why we're friends.
That's fine.
I get you into trouble. You get me out of it.
Mm.
Oh wait, we're talking about the game.
Oh yeah, the game.
But then, I mean, there's also Griffin's character,
Yes.
who was completely different than ours, and you may want to talk about that.
I played a mess.
Oh, hey, so did I. Yeah, woo, high five.
I was playing a character who comes off across as a religious, faithful, devout, what is the word I'm looking for here? Zealot. Sure. And that's exactly what it was.
Looks like
and
Mad Libs.
yes. And they find me on the side of the road with a broken wagon, and I'm like, I can't do anything. I'm stuck. This is the worst day ever.
My character reacted really well to a woman who could not fix her own wagon.
She was like, "You can't fix your wagon," and I was like, "No, I can't." And so she freed my horse. She was my savior, and I was like, "I will do whatever you need." and I was, yes.
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 Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I asked where they were going, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a coincidence. I need to bring my dead mentor there because I'm holding his urn. And so we did, and everything was a mess. I don't know. I don't know.
Disaster from then on.
Yeah. Basically, the character I was playing, she stole the literal cape off of her dead mentor's back, and she wasn't really a religious character. She wasn't really who she said she was. So I was just kind of trying to fake it till I make it, but they kept figuring me out. Rats.
So hilariously, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Having a character who thinks that they're a cleric, but are really not.
Really not.
It's one of the best things to play, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we had a really fun game, and I loved playing with you guys. So thank you.
We had a great time too. Thank you guys so much. And where can they find Laughing Moon and Wheelhouse? Come to your give the info.
You can do Twitter, Instagram. It's Wheelhouse RPG. I try to make it streamlined and simple. It's the easiest way to find it. Yep.
Wheelhouse RPG, excellent. Let's go ahead and give away the last of the things.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Giving
8,
away more
9,
stuff.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
People are
17,
leaving. The odds have
20.
just improved.
Anyone have a D20?
What
You
kind
gotta
of
be
gamers do you
fucking
think
kidding
we
me. We're in a
are?
goddamn game con and no one has a D20?
I am now making a D20 hippie game.
Do it. 6. Yeah? Woo! Thank you. Which one do you want?
I want this one.
Okay. All right. Yay, Katie won it. Two afternoon games today.
Hola, me llamo es Benji. I ended up, I hoard myself out to get a hotel room. I had a friend of mine said, yeah, I got a hotel room, run some games at the con. I said, okay, sure, hotel room, what do you want me to run? Come on, bring anything. Remember Teenagers from Outer Space by R. Talsorian Games?
Oh, wow, yeah, I played
Yeah, how many? 3 games. Okay, so the first one I ran today, and it was the class of 2055 goes to Yield Renaissance Fair. Now, to set this, I first ran this in 1992 at Strategicon.
I feel so attacked.
Oh, it gets worse.
Oh God.
And some of
That
the things
game
that came
can
up in
vote and drink.
1992, some of the things that came up in 1992 ended up actually happening out at fair. I've heard recent years something about rock climbing walls, zip lines, food trucks. These are things I mentioned in the game. However, Ye-O Taco Bell has not shown up yet, I hear, so we're still safe. There's churros. It's close.
Well,
taco trucks.
That's
Taco truck.
that's the last restaurant after the restaurant wars.
There you go. So I ended up saying, okay, well, no one's going to remember this game. No one's going to sign up for it. I watch pre-reg go up immediately. I'm like, oh, God. I look, and
Dun, dun,
everyone's
dun.
signed up for it. And I'm looking at the list, and I see 3 people I know from Renaissance Fair I have worked with before in the past are signed up for today's game. Oh, boy. I said, well, no problem, because nobody probably remembers the 80s or 90s. Walking into the room is someone wearing a Bill the Cat shirt from Bloom County, the original one. A original Back to the Future shirt. And then people I know, so you already know they're old. And I'm going, okay, this is going to be good. So I had a plot. I had a plan, a cunning plan. Yeah, that went to hell. So I pretty much went, okay, you guys just take off. I had some pre-gen characters that come up with some pretty unusual things, and people ran with it. It very much T-Foss has a really anime feel to it, and is really reading it again after all these years is really sexist. But it's
Accurate.
accurate. Well, Archal Sorian. So we ended up playing the game. I had to drop a few things like, look at this new gadget here. It's called a cell phone. Okay, we'll drop that one. But the game ended up, it was just beautiful because they had Bastion Alucard. Yeah, I did it. I went there. The mysterious foreign exchange student from Transylvania, and they have the cat girl from Planet Catnip, who is also kind of a goth emo psychotic girl who's like going, he's so dreamy. And so, of course, he looks at her, that magic moment, he looks her in the eyes and goes, hey. She goes, of course, responding back, the dialogue is just beautiful. She's like, hi. In the meantime, the guy playing the Doctor Who type character called the Engineer is going, I'm writing this down as a sonnet. This is how the game started, and it went south from there. It ended up where turkey legs had taken a life of their own and had zombified and come back to form a great, gigantic turkey leg creature that was going to take its people back away from these people that have been eating them all these years. And then it was later found out that, yes, turkey legs are people. It was, okay, Elizabeth Lovecraft, one of the characters, she went dark, okay? I'm just saying, yeah. Yeah. She talked to her ancestor from the Migo container. Her mother thinks it's an antique vase in the mantle. But unfortunately, none of them are here because I think they're either sleeping or drunk. Or get both right now.
Drunk.
But I am going to be running again at 2 p.m. tomorrow. It's going to be, hey, let's go to Haunted House. That sounds like fun. What could happen? And then at Sunday morning, like an idiot, I'm running at 9 a.m. for the Mad Bunker, What Bunks at Midnight. The Great Rubber Chicken Massacre occurs again.
Wait, so you're running what, bonks at midnight with cocks?
With bonks. at
Rubber
midnight with
cocks?
Rubber cocks, you know.
Just checking.
You have nobody to blame but yourself.
Nothing but cocks.
Clarifying.
It's just simply, it's a masked murderer that
With consent.
bonks. Bonk is a term, is hit points. They don't have hit points, they have bonk. When you reach 0 bonk, you don't die. You just get a really stupid look on your face and like anime. And then you will recover after a few turns, but you've lost some cool doing it. It's very much like Toon. Yeah. So now that I've hoarded myself out this con, I'm up for, is Tomer here still? Oh, thank God. Because what's next? Well, you want me to run?
He'll let you know.
Top secret.
Stop.
Hell no.
Shut your mouth.
No.
We can't hear you. You don't have a mic.
That's it.
Yeah, last time I ran Top Secret was a clusterfuck.
Accurate.
Rob will hear you.
I'm just going to say one more thing. Adam, there's games waiting for you.
I feel it.
Come to the game. Come to the games. Bring it. Come on.
Adam just said that he'd like to play this game since 1992. which belies his youthful face and charm.
That's right. Hi, I'm Adam, and I can also speak seductively like Kimmy. Not really, but I love you.
No, he totally can.
I totally can. So I first encountered this game when it originally debuted, which I don't remember the exact year, but I
When
think
you were
was
10.
When I'll have you know, in 1992, I graduated from high school.
You're still a young pup.
That's true. But no, I have been wanting to play this game for a very long time, for decades. When I first encountered this game, I've wanted to play it. Never heard anybody else who had any idea that it existed. And then you brought it up, and I'm like, oh my God, this has to happen, and I have to be a part of it. So, yes. So I'm going to come play it with you. So,
I'll save
yes.
a spot.
Okay, all right.
Done.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
All of this just makes me feel confused.
Welcome to my world.
And I feel like every comment here should have started with, I didn't think it could happen to me.
Accurate.
Dear Happy Jacks, there I was.
Sitting at a game convention.
The dice fell in my lap.
That piano's looking at me.
My fourth game will be called The Pianist.
With consent.
Other Saturday afternoon games?
I unfortunately ran another game.
Okay, yeah, go.
I ran way too many games. I need to stop. Seriously.
You need your own podcast.
Okay. No, because the equipment. I know where you go. No. I'll go on your podcast. I'm not going to do mine. No.
Okay.
No way.
All right.
I did
Strongly
a.
agree.
We made an accord. For games on demand. Yeah. And seriously, man, the best players in Strategicon, the best game masters in Strategicon, games on demand. I mean, if you want to go have an experience, do it. I ran a town called Malice. And I'm really glad that Monkey Fun Studios' Mr. Kazay is not here. And that he left early
Is he?
because... No, because I... Oh, is he? Oh.
No, you weren't actually in the room when we talked about this, but all Daves are just facets of the Dave.
That doesn't make me feel better.
So we can manifest in the same place and same time, but it takes a little extra effort.
It doesn't make me feel better. It actually makes me feel a little more paranoid.
Merkerger.
But I got his game. It's beta, and I got his game at about 80% right, which means for beta it was about 30%. But I'm cool, you know. Nobody knew. Right. It's based on the story pillar system, and it's a lot like Fiasco, and now it's structured. And we had a good time. There was at least one player here that was in it. Two. Who else? And what it is, the town called Malice is a Nordic noir. So Fargo, Twin Peaks. There's the Fortitude on Netflix is a really good example. So this is cold, it's hopeless. There's death, monsters, and hopelessness. So
30 Days of Night.
Yeah, it's really. It's an upper. And so ours was really fun. It fit all of the tropes. Did you want to come and talk? You're new. You've got to be on the cast.
Yeah.
You got to be on the cast.
Come on. Who are you and what do you do that makes you famous?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Who are you and what?
Hello, I'm Amy, first time Strategicon attendee.
Plug your band, too.
Oh, yes, and poor Kurt stuck with me in Sportive Tricks. Yay.
No. You all think you're stuck in there with him.
Okay, that is also true. Long-time Happy Jacks follower, first-time invader, so yay. So this not only my first time doing Strategicon, my first time in Story Pillar System, so it's a whole new thing. My normal game that I play on a regular basis is D&D 3.5, Get Off My Lawn. Yeah, so slightly old school.
Keep it.
It's all right.
You made him
I
feisty
planted
again.
the lawn.
It's okay. We can still be friends.
3.5 is not that old.
Like 2000. I mean,
He's back here. Literally, he's back here coloring his own dice. So just chill.
Get away from my crayon!
Right?
We had chits and we liked it.
That was 1978, and the great dice shortage. There was a great dice shortage in 1978.
So Malice. There's a whole thing with Malice. I really enjoyed actually the story pillar system, being able to contribute my own thoughts and my own ideas, and as things would happen, being able to like, oh wait, this could be. So my dead boyfriend is actually the monster, and this that. It was great fun. I think my challenge with it is just not quite sure how the dice worked with how things were happening. I know they're still working out the kinks on that.
no, there were no kinks. That was all me.
Oh, okay.
No, I played it at the same time with Kazay.
So
there
it
were
was all
kinks.
Chris. It's all good.
I moved this dice over here. You don't need to know why. That's where the dice is going.
Don't shame his dice practices.
But I did like I had the option of playing the stranger, so I could be very snarky and really put down all the other characters, which was rather kind of fun, actually. So yes, and also Kurt was in the game.
Tell us about your kinky dice.
Do it slowly.
So yeah, Amy got to play the stranger. I got to play the town elder, the venerable source of counsel and wisdom that everybody goes through. Essentially, this was one of those old Midwestern towns, small towns, where yes, there's a mayor, yes, there's a sheriff, but really there's one family that runs the town, and I was the patriarch of said family. Doesn't matter whether I actually know what the fuck I'm doing, but I have to act like it. This was a stretch for me, of course. But so playing a septuagenarian town patriarch who was the one who finally figured out that this thing that was tearing people apart, oh, that's the Wendigo. No. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Sorry. No.
I think we should describe how they died, too.
Winnebago? No, wait, Windsock? It's one of those things.
It's very amusing to. This is actually the first time I've actually gotten to game with my bandmate, which is awesome, and just her playing the young ingenue who's come to visit the town that her ex-boyfriend or her late boyfriend came from, and me playing the septuagenarian who sort of runs the town, and the wonderful generational interplay there was a lot. Oh dear, why don't you come with me? It'll be fine. Everything.
I'm
Keep away
sorry.
from that piano,
What?
you dirty old man.
What was that now?
Would you like to
Joey
blow my
It's actually
harmonica?
also very
Didn't
fun
wanna pay the
playing
harpsichord.
a character who was slightly smarter than most people in this small town. Was like, oh yeah, so the native, the Indians. I'm like, oh, you mean the Native Americans? It was just, or, oh God, these people believe in werewolves. Oh God. I might have had a little bit of fun.
All right. Any more 2 o'clock games?
He had to leave, unfortunately, but the man that we all know as the leader of the Monkey Fun Rebellion.
Oh, before we do that, someone bought a book to give away from him.
Was
Someone
it
do that
Mr.
now?
Kazay?
No. He told me someone else bought it. He didn't. Details. I don't know. So.
Don't bother to do details.
No. Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, me too. I got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Well, if it lands on you and you already own it, just give it to the next person.
Okay.
Right.
Simple.
I need like a D12.
The audience is dwindling. The dice are getting much smaller.
It always happens.
And Leon's getting larger. Oh, God.
Oh, no. Five. So we're starting over here.
Where do we start?
One.
You're the one counting.
I
thought you
forgot.
started
One,
with Kimmy.
2, 3, 4, 5. Now Joey can't have. You want it?
I will have it for Adam.
Okay. All right.
Yay!
All right, and it comes in a bag. Comes in a bag.
Oh, look, you won your very own sack.
You've got a sack. All right. Other afternoon games on Saturday. Go ahead.
Well, so I got to play in Dave running Malice at the same time.
So it's probably more like 80% instead of 30.
Because
76.
Because whatever he plans, we just turn left. Like whatever's going on, yeah.
That's why you don't plan.
Where we're
anything.
going, we don't need roads. But we ended up doing a different scenario. We did a space station in orbit around Io, and we were a mining colony. And
Outland.
I'm shocked that you know the reference.
It's from the 80s.
Yeah.
I could Google it.
So
I saw in the theater.
So
some things in space don't take too well to bullets.
to bullets.
But shall we play our game with the mining consortium?
Our deadly
But
game.
so the idea was that we were all on this space station, and I ended up getting to play. Malice plays out very much like if you take Fiasco and you take PBTA and you throw them in a blender and you wait until it screams.
Oh my God.
And then you pull it out and you lay it out on a table, and that's the game you're playing. Because there's playbooks, and you all get a character archetype that's kind of your thing. So I ended up playing the Law, and I fully intended to try and play it like Sean Connery in Outland. Like, oh, look, he's competent and knows what's going on. And from the very first dice roll where I rolled Snake Eyes, I realized, nope, that's not how this is working out. I am literally Andy, Deputy Andy from Twin Peaks. Without the rest of the department to keep me in line at all. I'm just like, what's happening here?
I was going to go with Barney Fife, but
That's
okay.
well, yeah.
No, I didn't even have that much indignation.
Could be worse. You could be Deputy Andy from Eureka.
Obscure and more modern reference.
Right.
I want to go buy a Maytag now. I'm sorry. Burn. No.
How was the game?
The game was fun. We had a
Uh-huh.
great time. I ended up playing this incompetent lawman.
Did you keep your bullet in your pocket?
Nope.
No.
Because I never used a weapon. I literally spent the entire game hauling corpses. And then at the very end of the game, Dave revealed that his medical droid could transport corpses around the station. Like the last action was like, oh, we need to get a body from here to there. And he goes, oh, no problem. And he used like a Jetsons vacuum tube to make it go there. And I was like, what?
What was the darkness?
The darkness in this case was engineered xenomorph that had gotten loose on the station, and the corporation was trying to.
So Paul Reiser was there?
Yeah, it was a little bit Paul Reiser-y, Wayland Yutani kind of thing, but they kept exploding out of people's necks. And that's how we found the first body. But to me, the very best moment was get up. The very best moment was we're playing this game again in the chairman's boardroom here at the Hilton. So we're all in these giant high-back chairs, and I've been on this incompetent journey for a while, and then I get called into the magistrate's office, played by Joey.
Hi.
And he literally turns his chair around and gives me the Dr. Claw. and like, He's like, he knows that there's one dead person, and I know there's not just one. But he doesn't know that yet, and he just keeps ranting on about how incompetent are you that you're letting a person die on our station, and I keep going, but there's more, no, and then he just goes on. It was so good. It was literally like 10 minutes of him just haranguing me, and me going,
You gave an actor a fully immersible set. Oh no. The minute I realized this chair turns around, I'm like, good. Send him in and just turn the chair around and just berate him without looking at him for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he lets me know there's a second dead body, and I turn around, slam the table, and just, it was the best. It was so good.
Show Mr. Powers.
But anytime I get to berate another character, I'm having fun.
So I'm really impressed that the playbooks are so iconic, because apparently my original idea was the exact same thing that happened the last time someone else played the playbook I played. I played the local, who is supposed to know all the secrets and have been there longer than anybody else. And so, but I wasn't paying attention when we started the game, on brand. And so you're supposed to write down what your relationship means with the other players. And I've got the criminal on my right and the law on my left, and I just wrote next to the criminals, "You helped me do that thing that time." Because I was like, I'll figure it out later. Fuck it. And then looked at the... And so about halfway through the game, I went, oh, I know what that thing is. You want to know? There's a monster in the hull of the ship that I've been hiding and feeding dead bodies to. That's before I knew there was a xenomorph. And apparently, the same fucking thing happened the last time someone played the local.
Well, so the part is, as soon as he did that, I almost had an aneurysm at the table because I had just this last weekend played a game of Malice as a playtest, and I played the Elder. It wasn't the local, but it was the guy that's connected to the town, and we were in Scandinavia, and it turned out that we were facing off against a bunch of vampires. And I, halfway through the game, I decided, you know what? I'm going out to that weird altar in the back of my property, and I'm going to have some words with these vampires, because I have been leaving goats out there for years, and they haven't come into town and started killing people until now. What is going on?
This is not what we signed up for.
Right, yeah.
At Malice.
So literally, he did the same action that I had done the weekend before, and I was like, yeah, my friends and I are the same. We are one community.
Of
and
garbage
we will
people.
sell out every single person we know to an alien menace.
I kept trying to feed Joey's character to it, and he was so upset. He was like, no, you can't. And I was like, well, you already gave us the codes, so you got to be worth something now.
My favorite part about that was he's literally had a whole conversation of a couple of minutes, and then he goes, so, he was playing a Russian. He goes, so, how much do you weigh? And Joey's like, excuse me? He's and then, you sold it off.
You would make great sacrifice.
No, you went with, I think you lost weight. You are looking so good.
Never mind. We'll come back to it.
Okay, so throwing it back at Dave, because he gave me the best idea ever. Because you realize all of my scenes were taking place in my office.
Because you had props.
Because I had props. And he's like, I just totally get this weird, Howard Hughes vibe. I'm like, just watching everybody from screens. I'm like, yes, absolutely. So we get to the point where I have to leave the office. And so I leave in a full vac suit. Because the original problem was there was a case of gray lung on the station. So I'm like, titanium instead of coal. So yeah, I was just in a full vac suit, and just refused to touch anything, even in the vac suit, because I didn't want to get it dirty. It was vintage, and It was a designer vintage vac suit.
You hurt Kimmy's brain.
I love you, Kimmy. Okay, take this away from me.
The other thing that was amazing was that Dave actually played in our game, and he decided that the character he was going to play was the medic, and then he decided that not only was he the medic, but he was actually an AI. So he was just no, he wasn't an android at all. He was just part of the station. So he would keep going like, please place the subject in front of monitor 1. And so I was stupid, and I hoisted up this corpse like a puppet to hold up in front of the scanner. And he goes, do you know that monitor 1 is on an extendable arm? And I'm like, I'm already holding it up, just scan it.
We also had a medic in Chris's version of Malice. A medic.
Put a poultice on it.
No, her name was Frida, and she ran Frida's Feel Goods, which was mostly about mental health and spiritual health.
Not about pianos.
No, not about pianos. Not about pianos. Very much more about.
She could have been a piano tuner.
It was very much more about extended pharmaceutical research.
That required the bartender.
They required
to help with the pharmaceutical.
Well, I mean, a bartender is just a pharmacist with a limited inventory. This bartender did not have a limited inventory. I have to admit that being a cis white het male, I'm like the two Hispanic players we had at the table who were playing Hispanic characters chose to be the drug dealers. That was what they chose. Nobody pushed them on this, and I was just, yes, right, thank you, yes. I'm like, okay, well, I'm now going to just have to. I'm really not.
Well,
there was a point.
You whited it up though with your cane and your freaking sword and the cane.
Did. I was like,
walking in the Firestarter video.
Well, yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was a little odd though. It was a little odd.
I ran a game. I was going to ask any other afternoon games. All right, I ran another Moment of Truth game. This one's called Mobile Danger Force. It is a 1960s super spy game. A little campy. Turns out the setting is going to be a lot campier than I was intending.
Did
yeah, kind of. Except there's a lot more coke.
I'm sorry, campy? What are you talking about? It wasn't campy at all.
Wait,
we had a great time.
No, now we discovered.
Adam played.
Yes.
What? I don't understand.
Let me just say that I had not given any thought to what a 1960s internet would be like, but I did realize that before the internet, you could actually call a librarian and ask for them to do some research for you.
It's very simple. You need to know something, you call the library. That's what we do.
And the Mobile Danger Force had its own library, and so Adam decided,
Mobile Danger Force to library. Mobile Danger Force to library.
This is the Mobile Danger Force library. Come in.
Library, this is Dex Barstow. I need to know the call sign number for the plane that took off from Washington, D.C. to Cape Canaveral, Florida.
Give me a few moments, and I'll find that out for you.
Good work, library.
And that was.
My God.
And that was the 1960s internet.
Yes, it was glorious, and I think we did it like 2 or 3 times.
This was the whole 4 hours of your game.
Yes.
Well, that.
Yes, it was.
And the cocaine and gin.
Okay, so it is the 1960s version of
Right, thank you, Dex Barstow.
Danger Force.
Well, it's like Mission Impossible but campier.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have
well,
to.
hold on, 1 moment here. So, Mission Impossible. It's a very action-based movie franchise currently. But Kimmy, if you Google the original TV show, their standard operating procedure is research your mission, come up with a good plan, get disguises, sneak in, and get your mission done and out of there when no one even knows.
No one even knew you were
And
there.
in lieu of that, we had martinis and cocaine.
Our SOP was more like, get them.
Yeah. So
They're communists. Get them.
So I have to tell you guys the inner workings of my head as we were going through character creation. So we create characters, and I'm thinking like, oh, okay, I know exactly what my character is going to be, and I'm choosing impulsive, and like my name's gonna be Cash, and then they start introducing their characters, and I'm the last one, and it's like my name's Cruz, and I'm impulsive, and I'm like, damn it, okay, erase, change name. My name is Crash, and I'm impulsive. I'm like, fuck, change impulsive.
Don't forget overconfident.
Oh, overconfident, yeah. I'm like, fuck, change talent. And then it's what was Darren, and I'm like, fuck, Dex, fuck. Okay. And so like I had to like every time another character would introduce themselves, I had to completely change my character name and rethink like, is this too much impulsive? And then we had like 2 characters with overconfident and 2 with impulsive. I'm like, nah, this is good. Let's roll with this. Like, this will be fun for Stu.
Adam, you now know what it's like to play with you.
Accurate.
Again, there was some modification to this adventure a couple days ago. It was like Thursday. I'd written these months ago, and I looked at it and I'm like, nah, I'm going to change it a little bit. And you guys skipped the first scene entirely.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why you knew this, but the Russian spy you're looking for had already left New York. I had determined this before the game, and had flown to Cape Canaveral. And instead of going to the Russian embassy to find out that the guy had gone to Cape Canaveral, but there was other stuff he could have found out, you're just like, fuck it, we know he's at Cape Canaveral. He's trying to
No,
he's trying
because
to
we
ruin-
called.
We're on a time limit.
That's right. We're like, hey, is that guy there? No? Okay, cool. We're going to go to Florida.
Yeah.
Well, he's not here. He must be in Florida now. Let's go into the jet plane.
The only thing you guys did that I anticipated was parachuting out of your plane onto the boat.
You anticipated that?
That's the one thing I anticipated.
Of course he anticipated
That's
that.
the one thing I anticipated.
I mean,
did
that
not
was like
anticipate
2
you-
hours into the game. You probably could have detected a pattern.
No,
by
I'm
then.
talking about weeks ago. That was a scene that I figured would probably happen.
Oh, okay, nice.
What I did not figure is that you would then set the plane as you're jumping off to crash into. Yeah,
Thank you.
they
Thank
crashed the plane. Basically, what happened? Apollo 11, 1969. The rocket is taken off. It's on its way with Neil Young or whatever his name is. And
Buzz Lightyear.
All right, that was a joke. Thank you.
Oh wait, that's Barry Manilow.
Anyway,
Never
it's
mind.
on its way, and the United States
gotta
has
Google that.
and the Mobile Danger Force has
Neil
discovered that
Diamond?
there's a nefarious plot by the commies to try to sabotage the missions in some way. So, right. And
Michael Bolton. What?
the party
It's a great name until that no talent ass clown showed up.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, see, Jim, since you left, they gave me the mic. It's all fucked now.
We're almost in the third hour.
Yeah.
These are the best episodes.
So,
Anyway. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about. One of the things. Oh, you know what, Kurt? You taking away microphones. If that's the way it's going to be, let me tell you. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys about was because I used the playbooks which I did not use in the other game. In the other game, I gave them pre-gens and let them modify them. In this game, I gave you basically 3 or 4 pages where you go through, pick what your stats are going to be, pick what your skill package is going to be. What did you guys think of that? And how? Because one of the things I like to do is let the players make their own characters. It makes, I think, for a better one-shot than to hand them pre-gens. So what was your opinion on that?
So just for a clarification, there were 4 pages with, it was Doc, Wheels, face, and Shooter.
And there were 2 I forgot to print out.
And there were the 2 that we didn't have.
Brawler and Hitter.
And
there were 4.
It was 3 worksheets of here's various.
Stop atoming the panel.
Here's various arrays of stats you might pick.
You suck!
Here's various packages of skills you might pick. So it wasn't just like, here's a book. I'm going to flip through 47 skills to pick the ones I want. It's like, do you want to be fighty? Do you want to be shooty? Do you want to be sciencey? You pick, you add them to your sheet. So it was a very quick way of going through a character creation because it's like, here's stats. Pick one of them. Okay, cool. Those are what your stats are. Here's some skills. What do you want? Make up a word. It's your disadvantage. Make up a word. It's what you can do. It was very, very loose and fast, and it was a great way to do character creation. I loved it.
Yeah, I especially liked the skill packages. It was like thugly skills, thievy skills, vehicle-y skills. I'm like, oh, this is so, this makes sense to me. I do not want the techie skills. I want this one. And so it's a really fun and simple character generation process that worked out really well, I thought.
Excellent.
Yes. Well, you can talk about your
What did
character,
you like?
Cruz Thomas.
You don't want to know about my character.
Oh, we do want to know
Tell me about
Cruz.
your character.
Lily made the best character.
So my character was Cruz Thomas. He had his cover as an actor. He did all of his own stunts, which was a
All
talent,
of his own stunts.
But it was also his disadvantage because he's 50 plus, but trying to pass for no older than 42, and he wears action lifts in his shoes. Now, another disadvantage was he's a cult member.
Right, that's right. I forgot all about that.
I was going to say, the part of
Kidding? They saved the day.
the part of the game that you didn't prep for.
Yes.
So a disadvantage was he was a cult member.
And he's an actor.
And he's an actor.
So what cult's he going to belong to?
The Church of Scientology. So, of course, Cruz Thomas.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That's fine.
Hold on. So.
And the last
No,
horse
they're gonna come
crosses
for
the finish
me.
line.
I'm going to have those squirrels busters or whatever outside my door.
Yeah, it's badge of honor.
Yeah, so we're supposed to head to Cuba, and other
look
than
for a
flying,
boat.
other than flying the plane into the boat, thank you. Cruz Thomas pulls out this gem.
Well, can I interject? So we are a secret organization. We're not allowed to actually Mobile Defense
Force!
And we are not allowed to contact the United States government or armed forces for help. So
My character pulled in a call to Elron to get the Sea Org to do some reconnaissance and see if they could find any information on these ships coming out of Cuba. So the Free Wind happened to be in the area.
Right.
Again, squirrel busters or
That's
whatever
right.
are going to be on my doorstep.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All they're going to do is videotape you. It's
That's
fine.
true. We did at one moment in the game. I know Hail Xenu. I remember that.
Yeah,
So
where was the
maybe-
Hail
maybe
Xenu?
That was Elron's sign-off.
Yeah, there we go. Right.
How's he now?
Yeah. You did do a very good Elron, by
I
the
tried.
way.
There's not a lot of recorded tape of him talking, but I've heard some.
There is recorded tape of him singing. Don't Google it.
It's
Kimmy,
worse than
don't
me.
Google it.
Bilbo,
Yeah.
Bilbo Baggins. No. That's still stuck in my head.
But
No means no, let it be more. Consent.
that's not a piano you're playing. But the character packages and creation that Stu had set up worked really well because it let us
Well, they
put
gave us enough room to make Cruz Thomas.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
We were able to customize things. We made connections between all of us, which really didn't come up in game, but it was still there in the back of our mind to kind of color our role playing. And we all thought it worked really well.
Cruz was jealous of Dex because
Right.
Dex is taller and better looking and younger.
And can apparently parachute better.
That's true.
When he's saving his teammate.
Oh, that's true. You used
Because-
a mot in order to make sure that when Cruz parachuted out of the plane, that he would initially fail, but then manage to spectacularly save his bacon. He actually spent a mot to do that.
I did. We were all parachuting. I needed Cruz to not have his parachute open and then find some way to miraculously pull out of
But the funny
stuff.
thing is, Cruz saved my character who failed his parachuting roll, and then
I chose to
Lokio
fail. I needed those
chose
mots.
to fail, and so
Yeah, no,
and
and
so when
jumping out of a
Adam-
plane,
when
great
Adam
time
made
to fail.
his parachuting roll, he rolled better than Cruz, so still looked better.
Yeah. We did make sure when we landed on the deck of the ship, we all tried to land in a good spot so that if there was a camera, it at least got all of us.
So yeah.
Like a 3-point superhero landing.
Yeah.
Right.
So as dysfunctional as our party was, the game was very enjoyable. I think we all had
Oh, yeah, it
had a
was
good
great.
time because we were all invested in the characters and the party, as horrible as it was. We did a lot of martinis and Coke.
There was a lot of Coke for this game,
Because-
I have to
because-
admit. But we all,
'Cause we
all
couldn't
of our
fall asleep.
characters had to stay awake
no,
for
you
the entire
can't
movie.
fall asleep.
We had to be on top of everything. we didn't have time to sleep because the astronauts were in danger.
That's right.
Exactly. So we took cocaine to stay up, and then we had martinis regularly to like level us off.
Yeah, it takes
So-
the edge off.
Also learned that the moon is further than 8 nautical miles.
Yeah, yeah.
These are scientific facts.
Scientific fact: you can't detonate a bomb unless you're within 8 nautical miles of the target.
Yeah, there were some critical failures on knowledge rolls.
Maybe.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to say, so after, like, it's been slightly over a year that I've been with Happy Jacks. This was my first time in a game with Stu as GM, and my first time playing Moment of Truth. So I have to say, you lived up to the hype, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
It was
Thank you.
super fun, really fun experience.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank
And you guys were all fantastic. It was so much fun playing with
It
you
was
guys.
a great party.
All right.
Well, it was
Thank
the
you, guys.
first time I ended a role-playing game with the Church of Scientology saving our butts.
Right? Me too.
We had our wait. Are we the baddies?
Are we skulls on our collars? All right. Is that it? Is that it? We're done?
Call it.
We're done? Going once, going twice. Thank you for joining us for season 22, episode 14 of Happy Chicks RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
I'm Kurt.
I'm Kadave.
Suck.
And I suck.
I'm Chris.
Me llamo es Benji.
And I'm still Kimmy.
Hail Xenu.
And we'll leave you. We're not going to leave you with a song. We're just going to yell.
I had a good idea, and something happened bad, and I was driving in my Honda.
You suck.
All right, goodbye.